Ciao, previously on the channel I've made a focaccia catanese, which is a focaccia made with a dough, and the dough is a blend of semolina flour and strong blade flour. I have decided this year that I'll do something similar, but instead of using normal dough made with flour, I want to use puff pastry to see what it's like. And also I appreciate that making dough might not be always that quick for people, so this might be something which you can do, especially between Christmas and the New Year, or any time of the year coming to that, if you are strapped for time. I'm using a mandolin to slice my potatoes, which are typical ingredient of focaccia catanese. As this is brilliant, they are only about, I would say, anything between 2 to 3 millimeters in thickness. But of course you can also use a knife if you wish, but if you're using one of those things, slow down towards the end, you don't want to lose a finger. Also, I will be using a slightly different technique for cooking my ingredients before I put it in the oven. As an example, when you're making the traditional focaccia catanese, you partly boil the potatoes, whereas today I will be gently shallow frying them, and bearing in mind that I have sliced them very, very thinly, they will not take any time at all. So I've just applied a little olive oil at the base of a frying pan. I'll mix them all together so that I'll cover them all in oil, and I'll move to the hob. I'm already deviating as I'm using puff pastry instead of dough, so by gently frying the potatoes I'm deviating even more, but I want this to be really flavorful. So they're beginning to sizzle. I'll place the lid on, I'll turn it down on medium, and in 5 minutes I'll turn them around. Which is perfect, as it will give me time to get ready with my other ingredients. I'll start with slicing a red onion. You can also go for white if you wish, personal choices. And I'm gonna go this way, by the way, fairly fine, but I'm going from the bottom up, and I'll make them in little circles. Separate a little frying pan, and I'll add a little oil. I will be adding some sausages, so I will not be putting a lot in. Firstly, I'll add the onions, and here I've got a couple of sausages, and using a pair of scissors I'm going to slice them in. And this is when I can give you different options. Of course, if you are vegetarian, skip the sausages or use vegetarian sausages. You can also use bacon as an alternative. You can use mince. I would stay with pork products, so pork mince, perfect. But if you were to use pork mince, add some herbs like some fennel, for example, which is really good, and also a little salt and pepper. I will not be adding any salt or pepper here because my sausages are already salted and peppered, and I'll move to the hob again. And I'm off with that unmistakable sound of sizzling sausages and onions in this case, of course. So they can carry on cooking, and let's take a look at the potatoes in the meantime. They've been there for a few minutes, and you can see that actually they are cooking ever so fast. They're changing in color already. They're only very thinly sliced, of course. Let's see if I can just do this. Right, a few more minutes and they will be ready, and I'll get them out once the sausages are also done. A few more minutes and I'm nearly done with the cooking. This is rosemary, which I've just picked from the garden, fresh. You can of course also use dry rosemary if you wish. This is another variant from the traditional focaccia catanese, Francesco alteration, and I'm chopping it really, really fine, as this will go on top of the potatoes. Another ingredients I will include a fresh ball of mozzarella, and just like I did with the potatoes, I'll slice it really, really thinly, and that will be a filling of my focaccia. I think I mentioned it before on the channel that what really annoys me is simple things that are supposed to be straightforward and not always that easy, like opening a tub of ricotta. And not a problem for me really, but I always thinking, why do manufacturers do not take into account people who are not necessarily always able to do things with their hands? It's a struggle. I don't know why they do that, but anyway, little message for ricotta manufacturers. Please make them easier to open. Tub of ricotta, 250 grams. I'll remove some of the water first, and I've got a new bowl over here, and I'll transfer it over. Earlier today I defrosted 4 bowls of spinach. Here they are. I'm now squeezing most of the water out and adding them to my ricotta. So literally just hold them in your hand, squeeze as strong as you can, and off you go. Quite a lot of water there actually. So here is my ricotta, and I'll mix it together until it becomes of a uniform color. I'm lucky to have made more than what I need for my purposes today, but I always like to keep some in the fridge, put little cling film on top, and you can apply a little bit on top of pasta. For example, if you're making a tomato based pasta, just put a couple of blobs of spinach ricotta, or eat it just as it is. It's a lovely combination, very popular in Sicily and throughout Italy, of course. And everything is cooked. Before I proceed, I'm going to add the rosemary to my potatoes, and you can see that some of them I've browned up. And of course, if you were to add some salt and pepper, you can eat them just as they are. They are delicious. Actually, it's one of our favorite sides. So rosemary goes in now that it is cooked, and I'll just mix it together. Maybe I need to open it. And I'll leave them to just marinate with the rosemary for a few minutes until they cool down, so that I can easily put them in my pastry focaccia. Really finished making a Christmas cake the other day, and she left some firm instructions. She said if you need any baking paper, use this first. Do not use any new ones, and fair enough actually. So if you've got baking paper sometimes which has not necessarily been destroyed by whatever you're cooking, you can always reuse it, and that's what I'm doing today. So some baking paper down, and I'm going to put a little olive oil on top of the paper, as it will help me when I will be unrolling my pastry focaccia. I'm not sure what to call it, so I'll call it pastry focaccia. I'll spread it across with a little brush, just like this. And by the way, the addition of ricotta to the spinach, it's another Francesco, just in case people get excited about authenticity. So no, it's not an authentic dish, it's a tortellino authentic dish, so that you're aware. But here is my my puff pastry. This is straight out of the fridge, not the freezer. I bought it only a couple of days ago. I'm a bit disappointed because normally I get this problem if it's been previously frozen, but let's see how it goes. So I just want to get it out of this paper first and move it onto my baking paper very gently. Luckily it's bigger than what I need, so I think I'm happy that this piece is okay. Ensure that your puff pastry is, by the way, out of the fridge when you start using it. I'm turning it this way so that it's going to be easier for me to work. And I'll start by applying some potatoes at the bottom first, but I'll move them to the middle like this. Sausages and onion come next, so whatever you really fancy in terms of ingredients, of course. But if you do replicate this recipe, you will not be disappointed, I guarantee you. And pile it on, don't worry, as long as you stay in the middle, you will be safe. Just, you can see that I'm actually putting them all in. Of course, make sure that also you've got a little gap at the edges over here. And I'll go ahead and put some of my ricotta and spinach in next. That's very good. And off I go with my mozzarella. And every time I add ingredients, I'll go on top and I'll press it down so that it stays nice and compact. And I'll finish the top the way I started, with more of my potatoes. And that is all of my potatoes gone. I cooked 300 grams, by the way, and now it comes the fun part. So I'll pick it up and I will roll it this way, and I will see the olive oil is preventing it from getting stuck. And as the puff pastry has got a beautiful property of stretching, you can see that as long as obviously you didn't go really mad, you will be able to just stretch it slightly, and then you can go on top and using your fingers you can gently seal it. I'll just move it back and I'll press the edges using my hands like this. I'm not sure if it helps, it might be or might be not, but I'll go back with a knife in any case. I don't think it'll do any harm. and I'll scrape it across the edges here so that it creates a nice seal. And over here I'll just fold it back like this, so there is no risk of anything escaping, and I'll do the same on the other side. And that is looking very good. Time to crack an egg next. There we go. Quickly I'll beat with a fork, and the egg will make sure that everything is properly sealed, by the way. And I'll just run through where the joints are first, like this, and also over here. But while I'm at it, I'll brush the entire surface of my focaccia and off I go. This is the underneath. I've got a new piece of baking paper over here. Again, I've applied a little olive oil, and I now want to make sure that I turn it the other way. The best way to do this is to get hold of it, and I'll place the baking paper over here, and I'll just gently turn it. Like this, I won't get in trouble. And as I put some olive oil, it peels off nicely easy. But before I continue, I'll apply a little bit more of my egg wash on top. The purpose here is to ensure that it gives a beautiful color once it comes out of the oven. Now, as I've got some puff pastry left over, I've got a little idea. But I'll start by making some strips using a little toothpick. And I'm going very gently up and down my focaccia and I'll just do a few little strips like this. Do not push it too hard, by the way, because of course although puff pastry it is very flexible, it could split very easily. And then I'll go the other way. You can stop now if you want, by the way, but bearing in mind that, as I said, I've got some left over, I've got a little idea, so let's see how that goes. But I'll finish this first. There we go, one more and it's done. And here is my idea. I'm using a paring knife, making sure that I do not try and overwork the pastry, as it can be a little bit tricky. I'm just running along and cutting a few strips, about anything between half a centimeter and a centimeter. And I'll make as many as I can. And you might have guessed it anyway, but I'm making a plait over here. Hopefully you can see I've done one already. So I go 3 strings and started from the top, join them together, and I'm moving them very gently, because this actually breaks really easily and it will puff up anyhow, so it will look really great, I hope. So I'm nearly done. This design modification was definitely not envisaged in my original vision for this meal, but it is a welcomed one. So I'm now using this also as an opportunity to cover some of the areas that have actually opened up, which is perfect. So I'll put a couple here, one on each side, and I'll cut them with a knife. And here is side number 1, and I should have enough, yep, perfect, for the other side. I had a little hole over here, so I applied a little bit more puff pastry, and I'm now spreading it thinly with a knife so that it blends with the rest. A little egg on top and toothpick, and I'll make sure that I'll draw the lines once again. And I've got to do now the sides and the edges over here, press them down, and I'll finish off with more egg. The funny thing is that I'm now more excited about the new design than the taste itself, so it will be interesting to see what it looks like once it comes out of the oven. You can see how handy the baking paper is. You can just lift it and place it inside a tray. My oven is almost at temperature. I'm waiting until it reaches 180 degrees. Fan oven, 200 if it's a normal conventional one, and it will go in for anything between 20 to 25 minutes. And you will see that the pastry will puff up, hence called puff pastry, and it will look a beautiful golden color, and then we can see what it looks like also. See you then. I lie, I just spotted that I had quite a bit of puff pastry left over, so I have rolled it, and I'm putting a little bit more of my spinach and ricotta filling in, and I'll just close it like a little ball or like a roll, and there it is. And I'll put that in as well, so that I don't waste any, and in it'll go. I'll put some egg on top. It'll be also interesting to see what that looks like. And why not? Let's give it a little, its own little design, so that it doesn't feel left out. So that goes to show really that there is no need to waste anything in the kitchen. See you in 25 minutes. Exactly 25 minutes and there she is. It's ready. I'm referring to the focaccia as a she because it ends with an A, and in Italian and generally anything ending with an A is the feminine form, so there she is. By the way, I don't know if it's the case for every fan oven, but in my case I find that when I place it in, the front of the focaccia or bread, whatever I'm baking, gets beautiful and brown, but not so much at the back. So in the last 10 minutes, after 15 minutes, I turn the tray around so that it becomes of the same color all over. And it might not be an authentic recipe, but I bet anybody to challenge me that that is not rustic looking. It looks really good. I think I'm very pleased. But it's really, really hot. So how about this one? Oh, it looks good. Look, it's a little surprise. I'm going to leave it for a few minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes to cool down. It'll be easier to slice it, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the inside, and I'll taste some. Although it's still daylight, it's not time to eat, but I will taste some to let you know what it's like, and then I'll let you know if it's worthwhile making. See you in a little while. And I like working with puff pastry because it's really forgiving, and actually, you know that patch I applied over here adds character. It's really nice. I really like it. Now it's cooled down slightly, and Julie has just arrived. She was in Norwich, and she saw what I created, and she said to me, "What is inside it?" So I called the ingredients, and she nearly fainted. Actually, I have got to remove it from the paper. So if I put a little spatula underneath, and now that it has cooled down, it's considerably easier. Gently lift it, and with my hands, I just move it ever so carefully, and there it is.
It's beautiful. Well done. Did you make the pastry on your own, dear?
No, it's puff pastry. Let's look at this first. This is leftover spinach ricotta, and
I thought that was a little scone, like an English scone. I was about to cut it and have some butter in it. No.
It is, look.
Ooh, yum.
Just vegetarian, as you know, spinach ricotta. Sweet. Now, how shall we cut this? Shall I go diagonally?
Why not?
Why not? Let's have a look. I definitely think it's a great idea to leave it to rest for a little while, and you can see why, because you can touch with your hands, and also you can lift it without damaging it. Inside, I just
it says hopefully.
And here is the feast inside. So Julie, there's sausage, there's onion, there's ricotta and spinach.
Looks lovely.
It looks really nice. It's still a little bit hot. So the next thing we have to do is to taste it.
Oh no, that's dreadful.
And I've said this before when I've made similar stuff in the past. You can leave it in the fridge overnight once it's totally cooled down, and it will be easier to cut even more, but also when it's cold it will taste, in my view, better. They always do. And I'm just slicing it so I can taste it, as I made a promise, and I don't want to let you down, so I'll just have a little piece from over here.
Well, I haven't actually had any lunch or breakfast.
There you go, that's something for you. The verdict is definitely make it. Even if it's not a fully authentic focaccia Catanese, and it's a tortellino style focaccia made with puff pastry, it's absolutely delicious. I would not say if it wasn't. It's wonderful. And the little one, it's also nice. Not as nice as this. There's a lack of salt here, because I didn't put any salt as I put the sausages in.
Because of the sausage, yeah.
But if you obviously make it vegetarian, remember some salt. But everything is delicious. So hopefully you make it. And if you do, let me know. And post a little photo of it on my Facebook page, Tortellino Community, Tortellinotime Community. And buon appetito, and better go and feed Julie, as apparently she's starving. Ciao, ciao. How big do you want? Like this?
I was just going to have we're going to slice each. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to have a slice.